Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the pod. Today, you will learn about air and fuel. The chemical reaction that takes place within an engine is known as combustion, and it is an exothermic chemical reaction, which means that it gives out heat energy when it occurs. It takes place between the oxygen atoms within air and the hydrocarbon molecules within fuel. There needs to be enough air, or rather, there needs to be enough oxygen molecules, as well as enough hydrocarbons for there to be a complete combustion. Now, when complete combustion occurs, for 1 unit of fuel, the amount of heat energy that is given out by that 1 unit of fuel is known as its calorific value. There is an ideal ratio between air and fuel for this chemical reaction to take place, and it is known as the stoichiometric ratio. I've written it on the board here, and it is 14.7 grams of air to 1 gram of fuel. Now, this ratio can be altered or tailored for engine performance purposes, and it means that the engine can be running either rich or lean. Now, when we run the engine rich, it means that we have less than 14.7 grams of air to 1 gram of fuel, whereas if we do run it lean, we have more than 14.7 grams of air to 1 gram of fuel. Now, both running either lean or rich will combust within the engine. However, it will have an effect on the engine's power output, as well as these 4 items here. Number 1, the mean effective pressure. Number 2, the rate of combustion. Number 3, the specific fuel consumption. And 4, the exhaust gas chemical composition. Number 1, the mean effective pressure. The mean effective pressure is the average pressure within the cylinder as the engine goes through its 4-stroke cycle. Not only is the mean effective pressure affected by the air-fuel ratio, but it is also affected by the compression ratio as well as the engine's operating temperatures. The mean effective pressure actually increases up to a certain point when we use a rich mixture as opposed to a lean mixture. Number 2, rate of combustion. The rate of combustion is how quickly the air and fuel mixture combusts, as well as how quickly the flame propagates throughout the cylinder. It is higher when we use a rich mixture of fuel, as opposed to when we use a lean mixture of fuel. Number 3, specific fuel consumption. The specific fuel consumption is a measure of the fuel efficiency and is measured with the rate of fuel consumption as well as the power output of the engine. Now, the rate of fuel consumption increases when we use a rich mixture of fuel as opposed to when we use a lean mixture of fuel. Number 4, the exhaust gas chemical composition. The exhaust gas chemical composition is the compounds that are remaining in the exhaust gases after we've gone through the process of combustion. Now, if the engine is running at rich, this means that we will have a decrease in the carbon dioxide that is produced. However, we will have an increase in the amount of carbon monoxide that is produced. And when running the engine rich, we can end up with a sooty black smoke that comes out of the exhaust. When running it lean, we also get a decrease in the carbon dioxide, but we also then get a decrease in the carbon monoxide that is produced. When running it lean as well, however, we have an increase in the amount of oxygen that is emitted in the exhaust gases. Now there's a piece of the car in the exhaust that we can use to help with the emissions of a car, and that piece of equipment is called the catalytic converter, and it helps to control the emissions of the engine. So that completes today's lesson, and thank you for tuning in to the pod for today. I hope you have a good day, and see you next time. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the pod. Today, you'll be learning about valves.